President Trump and Vice President Vance putting America first in a heated meeting with Ukrainian President Zelenskyy.
I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring it into this conflict.
You have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. Not in a good position. I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out.
Here to discuss is the host of My View with Lara Trump. And so when you see Volodymyr Zelenskyy there with his arms crossed, what were you thinking?
Well, Peter, I think it started with him showing up at the White House in anything less than a suit. I think it was sort of amazing that there were questions about his outfit from the very beginning. You know, I think you've heard probably my father-in-law say, oh, he came dressed up. You know, when you come to the White House, you have to show some respect. This entire exchange obviously was very detrimental to Ukraine. I think that everyone understands that without Donald Trump and his ability to negotiate a peace deal, which everyone should want, the bloodshed will continue, the fighting will continue, the death will continue. Everyone wants to see an end to this war and this conflict. And unfortunately, when Zelenskyy showed up there yesterday, it almost seemed like he had a bit of a chip on his shoulder. It kind of seemed like, you know, he was used to a bit of a different situation, shall we say, in the White House. It's not the same old thing. It's not Joe Biden. It's not Kamala Harris. It's Donald Trump and it's J.D. Vance. And they're going to make a deal that is going to end the war, but it's got to be great for America as well. And unfortunately, they didn't get to that place yesterday. It's a shame because I think everyone wants to see this conflict end. But I hate to tell him, I think President Zelenskyy only has himself to blame.
You know, I actually think this moment was revealing because it shows that not everyone does want peace. Not everyone wants to end the war, Lara. I think, you know, you look at Zelenskyy, he doesn't want to end it. The Democrats were in his camp. I think a lot of people are making money off this war machine. And so I think that was interesting that, you know, and I loved when Donald Trump said, you're gambling with World War III. And I think it's really, I think, setting your father-in-law apart as the first peacemaker in a long time in the White House.
Yeah, Rachel, and the irony, of course, of the Democrats and the mainstream media continuing to say when he was running for president the first time that Donald Trump would bring about World War III. We didn't have any new wars for the first time in 82 years with Donald Trump in the White House, first president to be able to say that. And of course, he does want peace. He is not part of the industrial war complex. That's kind of what you're referring to. There are people who are incentivized to have the United States in these perpetual wars. There's a lot of money at stake right now. And America has been the piggy bank for, you know, funding so much of it. Donald Trump wants to see it end. Not only is Doge making sure that our taxpayer dollars are not going, you know, just frivolously to these ridiculous causes around the world that have nothing to do with America, he also doesn't want us sending our money overseas and, you know, putting it to fight these wars that are causing so much death and so much destruction. He wants to see an end to it. Don't forget, he was the first president to strike a peace agreement in the Middle East with the Abraham Accords. I think he's going to be able to get somewhere, but Zelenskyy has to come to the table. And you have to understand, whenever you have negotiations like this, not everyone is going to get everything they want. I understand that Zelenskyy wanted Donald Trump to say, oh, I'm more on your side than I am on Putin's side. He's not on anyone's side. He said, I'm on the United States' side. I want to see this end, and you're going to have to come to the table a little bit.
So no new wars is not something that President Trump's predecessor can claim. He saw several new wars start. But already you've got the media trying to rewrite history on his mental decline, including CNN's Jake Tapper. Watch this exchange that I think you'll probably remember.
I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable
You are
to
no
watch somebody on stage
this is so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline. You were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline.
So now he's writing a book claiming he knew all along.
Charlie, I'm sure the first chapter in that book will be an apology to me and an acknowledgement that I was indeed right. Yeah. I'll wait for that for sure. But look, this is why the legacy media, the mainstream media, has completely lost the trust of the American people. Right now, the American people approve of them at a number of 31%. That's pretty bad. That's pretty low. This wasn't just Joe Biden, though. Yeah, we all knew something was going on with Joe Biden. Even back in 2020, many of us warned that there would be a problem should this man ever become commander-in-chief and leader of the free world. And take a look around. Look at how bad things have gotten in the United States. Thank goodness we have Donald Trump in there right now. But a lot of these people are going to have to look themselves in the mirror and say, I'm the reason Americans struggled. I'm the reason that we have these wars that have broken out around the world, an open southern border, fentanyl deaths skyrocketing, crime skyrocketing in the United States, because Joe Biden was able to become president and they covered it up. It wasn't just Joe Biden, though. Don't forget about Kamala Harris, who they thought, they tried to convince all of us was this great next coming. She was going to be this great political figure. CBS went so far as to edit an interview with her for their 60 Minutes piece. I think it's incredible that we're coming to a place now, though, where it's all being exposed. It's amazing, though, to kind of see these people in the 11th hour saying, oh, wait, no, I want to tell you more about it. How are we ever supposed to trust them?
And they forget that we have the video.
Right. And they forget the last time that somebody showed up at the White House without a tie, it was the Easter Bunny. Who remembers that? Yeah, Joe Biden.
Leading Joe Biden away.
Joe Biden. Thank you, Lara Trump.